30 days, and these calendar days are set to run from the 12th of February 2025 to the 13th of March 2025, after which the senator shall be allowed back to the Senate and the presence of Parliament on the terms by the Senate on the 20th of September 2023. So this motion is coming up for voting this afternoon, and allow me to hand over for this live broadcast as the Sergeant at Arms with the mace have already stepped into the chamber, closely followed up by the Deputy Speaker of the House, signaling that the business of the Senate, its time has come. Allow me to hand you over. Enjoy your viewing.
Tuombe. Ewe Mwenyezi Mungu, twakusihi tutazame kwa neema nyingi na baraka sisi watumishi wako ambao umeridhika kutuita kwa nyadhifa za uongozi katika jamhuri hii yetu. Twakuomba tujalie tuyatende na kufikiria mambo yote yatakayofikishwa mbele yetu kwa njia ya haki na uaminifu, ili kustawisha amani, ufanisi na heri ya nchi yetu na wale ambao haja zao umezikabidhi mikononi mwetu. Amina. Clerk, confirm whether we have quorum. Sergeant at Arms, ring the quorum bell for 10 minutes.
Well, that marks the commencement of the business at the Senate this afternoon, where the Deputy Speaker of the Senate, Honorable Kathuri Murungi, is currently presiding over the business of the House. This afternoon, we have a number of motions as well as bills that are currently at the second stage of the bill, where senators are set to debate a number of them. Equally, a number of committees are also set to have their motions debated in the House this afternoon. Among them is the County Public Investment and Special Funds Committee on its consideration of the audit reports on matters municipalities for the financial years 2021, 2022, 2022, 2023, and 2020, 2021. This being reports of the Auditor General in regards to various municipalities on how they utilize the monies under their docket. The leader of the majority party will be tabling reports equally from the Office of the Auditor General in regards to the county government's utilization of fund. And quickly, allow me to take you through a motion by Senator Jones Mwaruma on the establishment of the National Teaching and Referral Hospitals in Kenya. In the motion, the Senator for Taita Taveta County is seeking to have the Senate urge the Ministry of Health to establish national teaching and referral hospitals in the coast, eastern, northeastern, Nyanza, and western regions, fully equip the national teaching and referral hospitals with modern medical equipment, medical supplies, and personnel, and that the county governments should allocate more funds to their respective health dockets to adequately facilitate their county level 5 and level 6 hospitals in order to enhance the provision of critical health services to reduce the demands for such services from the national teaching and the referral hospitals across the country. Away from that, Standing Orders number 52, subsection 1, the Senator for Migori County, Senator Eddie Oketch, is set to make a statement this afternoon. The statement by the Senator for Migori is in regards to the persistent delays by the Kenya Agricultural and Livestock Research Organization, CARO, in paying salaries for its employees. And away from that statement, pursuant to Standing Orders number 53, subsection 1, actually a number of 15 senators will be seeking a statement this afternoon, pursuant to Standing Orders number 53, subsection 1. The Senator for Kajiado, Senator Seki Ole Kanar, will be seeking a statement from the Standing Committee on Matters National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations regarding the alleged recruitment discrepancies in the 2023 Kenya Defense Forces recruitment exercise. From the Committee on Health regarding the status of health facilities in Kitui County. The Senator for Lamu, Senator Joseph Kithuku, will seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Matters Education regarding the status of the implementation of the Early Childhood Development Education, ECDE, and Technical Vocational Education Training, TVET, in Lamu County. The Senator for Lamu has the other statement that he is set to seek this afternoon from the Standing Committee on Matters Health regarding the operationalization of Kiongwe and Mikinduni dispensaries in Lamu County. Closing that chapter for senators, actually 20 senators, is Senator Beatrice Ogola, who is set to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Matters Labor and Social Welfare regarding concerns of violation.
Clerk, read out the first order.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Next order.
Order number 3, messages.
Next order.
Order number 4, petitions.
Yes, Senator Rumene.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I beg to give notice of the motion that pursuant to Standing Order that 7, the Senate do now adjourn to discuss
Senator
a definite
Rumene.
matter.
Senator Rumene, you are
Yes.
standing on a point of order. Because I saw you on the screen, you are on a point of order. You are rising on a point of order now to say what you want to say.
Accepted, sir.
No. He is very much okay at this stage, but he should say
Yes.
he is standing on a point of order to state what you want to say now.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, proceed. Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I beg to give notice of the motion following that pursuant to Standing Order that 7, the Senate do now adjourn to discuss a definite matter of urgent national importance, namely the killing of Kenyan fishermen at Nape Mukat in Todonyang area.
Why are you interrupting for Turkana County?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir. I repeat again, I stand in the notice of the motion on a matter of the national concern. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to give notice of motion, motion that pursuant to Standing Order 37, the Senate do adjourn to discuss a definite matter of urgent national important concern, namely the killing of Kenyan fishermen at Napeimukat in Todanyang area on Saturday, 22nd February 2025, that allegedly left at least 22 Kenyans unaccounted for and 15 boats belonging to Kenyan fishermen stolen. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Thank you.
Yes, Senator Omenen, I've confirmed that indeed you have the requisite threshold and has been attained, and I direct that the Senate will adjourn at 5 p.m. to discuss the said motion. 5 p.m. prompt.
Thank you, sir.
you.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Next order.
Order number 5, papers.
The end of the majority party. What is the point of order, Senator Kisang? Just a minute, Senator Majority Leader.
But is it allowed, Mr. Speaker?
Maybe point of clarification, not even a point of order.
A rich man has just spoken. How can Kisang speak after? This is a
Honorable Speaker, I've heard that you've said the motion of adjournment that you've slotted it for 5 p.m. I thought as a House we had agreed that today's at 5 p.m. we'll be at our colleagues, the late Senator Jeptumo, for a service. And senators are the ones who are going to lead the service. So I don't know what the arrangement that we have.
Senator Kisang, this House will adjourn at 6:30 p.m. Whatever activities we have, we just do everything that is possible. But the House, according to me, will adjourn at 6:30 p.m. So at 5 p.m., a decision will be made in one or the other. Yeah, so let us proceed. Next order. Oh, majority leader.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the Senate today, Wednesday, the 26th of February, 2025. These are the reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Bungoma County for the year ended 30th June 2024. County Executive of Bungoma, County Assembly of Bungoma, County Revenue Fund, County Government of Bungoma, Receiver of Revenue, Revenue Statements, County Government of Bungoma, Bungoma County Assembly Members and Car Loan Mortgage Fund, Bungoma County Youth and Women Empowerment Fund, Bungoma County Education Support Scheme, Bungoma County Assembly Employee Car Loan and Mortgage Scheme Fund, Bungoma County Disaster and Emergency Management Fund, Bungoma County Trade Development Loans Fund, Bungoma County Climate Change Fund, Bungoma Municipality, Bungoma County Referral Hospital, Kimilili Municipality, Kimilili Sub-County Hospital, Cheptais Level 4 Hospital, Sirisia Level 4 Hospital, Webuye Level 4 Hospital, Bokoli Sub-County Hospital, Bokoli Sub-County Hospital, County Government of Bungoma, for the year ended 30th June 2023, Bokoli Sub-County Hospital, County Government of Bungoma, for the year ended 30th June 2024, Mount Elgon Sub-County Level 4 Hospital, Bumula Sub-County Level 4 Hospital, Chwele Sub-County Hospital, Naitiri Sub-County Hospital, County Government of Bungoma, for the year ended 30th June 2022, Naitiri Sub-County Hospital, County Government of Bungoma, for the year ended 30th June 2023, Naitiri Sub-County Hospital, County Government of Bungoma, for the year ended 30th June 2024, Nzoia Water and Sewerage Company Limited, reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Busia County for the year ended 30th June 2024, County Executive of Busia, County Assembly of Busia, County Revenue Fund, Receiver of Revenue, Revenue Statements, Busia County Health Services Fund, Busia County Agricultural Development Fund, Busia County Public Officers Revolving Fund, Busia County Assembly Revolving Fund, Busia County Emergency Fund, Busia County Education Support Scheme, Busia County Cooperative Enterprise Development Fund, Busia County Alcoholic Drinks Control Fund, Busia County Trade Development Revolving Fund, Busia County Climate Change Fund, Busia Water and Sewerage Company Limited. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay.
Honorable Boni Karwal. Honorable Senators, we have a delegation visiting from this university. Honorable Senators, I would like to acknowledge the presence in the Speaker's Gallery and public galleries this afternoon, 80 students of Diplomacy and International Relations from this university. The students are led by Dr. Sylvia Murioki, a lecturer of Peace and International Relations, and the student leaders from the university. They are in the Senate for a one-day academic exposition. Honorable Senators, I request the lecturer and the student leaders seated in the Speaker's Gallery to stand when called out so that you may be acknowledged in the Senate tradition. One, Dr. Sylvia Murioki, lecturer and team leader. Mr. Ruiz Simiu, class representative. Ms. Consolanta Gishoro, class representative. Ms. Cristo Johali, class representative. Ms. Chantel Shizwende, class representative. Mr. Khalid Abdi, class representative. And last but not the least, Ms. Sharon Gekundi, also a class representative. Honorable Senators, in our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. This university is in two counties, in the county of Nairobi and Machakos County. Senator representing Nairobi County.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. You're not wrong. Daystar has two campuses, one in Nairobi and another one in
You should
Machakos.
choose your neighbors wisely.
By all accounts, Honorable Chair, I didn't choose Halwale to sit here. He usually doesn't sit here. But there are some issues regarding the community that we were discussing. And we are done. Halwale should resume his seat now. Honorable Speaker, as you rightly put it, Daystar University has two campuses, one in Nairobi and another one in Athi River. The main one actually is in Athi River in Machakos County. But it is widely acknowledged that Machakos County is Nairobi's bedroom. That's what they call it. So it is in order that I welcome the delegation to Daystar, to the Senate from Daystar. I have a history with this campus, Honorable Speaker. At least the Nairobi campus has fantastic facilities. I remember when the first time I ran for Senate, Nairobi, Daystar University organized a debate for senatorial candidates, and it was the only debate for all the Senate seats. I don't remember anybody else having a Senate debate, because most of the debates were happening at the level of the governors going forward. And at that time, there was a young man called Alois Otieno, who was the president of the student body. And I continued to mentor that young man. I would want him also, Honorable Speaker, to come and be the senator of Nairobi at some point, because I have been very consistent that I will not be the senator of Nairobi forever. And I am sure our colleagues agree that we must also mentor the young generation to also come and join us here. So I want to take this opportunity to welcome you to this Senate. I hope that some of you look like my voters, because, Honorable Speaker, you can tell a voter in Nairobi from very far. And I don't mean to disrespect any other voter from anywhere else. So I want to say thank you, and I hope that every day I do you proud as your senator. I hope that you will have a good visit, enjoy yourselves, and if there's anyone in this Senate who you would want to shake their hand out there, you let me know. I will make sure that I put in a good word for you, including the Speaker himself, so that when we go out there, we can shake hands and pass niceties to each other. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Sifuna. I also want to notify them that they are the best university, this university. My son went through that university and did international relations and security studies. And I can see he is not in boundary of wherever he is. So I want to encourage the students also to take up their positions rightly. Senator Zachary.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I felt that after those wonderful remarks that my Secretary General has made about Daystar University, and then you've commented, I also happen to be a beneficiary of Daystar University because one of my younger sisters who went to school in Daystar when it just started ended up actually being the East and Central Manager of Total East Africa. So your university is a good institution, and I hope that you will continue to make sure that Kenya becomes a better country. And I wish you all the best in your education. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Senator Jones Mwaruma was to give a notice of the motion. Maybe has he delegated to you that duty, Senator Onyonka? You want to read it for him? To give the notice of motion? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a notice of motion for the establishment of a national teaching and referral hospitals in Kenya. Mr. Speaker, they are aware that Article 43(1)(a) of the Constitution provides that every person has the right to the highest attainable standard of health, including reproductive health care. Noting that in Kenya we have 5 national teaching and referral hospitals, with Kenyatta University Research and Teaching Hospital in Kiambu County and Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital in Eldoret, Uasin Gishu County, being the only ones outside Nairobi County. And Mr. Speaker, concerned that the bed capacity, medical equipment, human capital of these national institutions, I repeat, Mr. Speaker, concerned that the bed capacity, medical equipment, and human capital of these national teaching and referral hospitals are not sufficient to absorb all the patients seeking specialized treatment, and further concerned that many Kenyans with critical health conditions travel long distances in order to access specialized services in Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital in Eldoret and in Nairobi, where the other 4 national teaching and referral hospitals are located, leading to high cost of travel, augmented disease, and in some cases, deaths on the way. Now, we therefore seek the Senate, 1, the Ministry of Health to establish national teaching and referral hospitals in the coast, eastern, northeastern, Nyanza, and western regions. Number 2, fully make sure that these national teaching and referral hospitals are equipped with modern equipment and equipment services, medical supplies, and personnel. And third, Mr. Speaker, county governments to allocate more funds to their respective health dockets to adequately facilitate their county level 5 and level 6 hospitals in order to enhance provision of critical health services to reduce the demand for such services from the national teaching and referral hospitals. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Next order, clerk.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
We have 2 statements understanding under 52(1). Senator Andy Okech.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a statement on the persistent delay by the Kenya Agricultural and Livestock Research Organization, KALRO, in paying staff salaries. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order number 52-1 to make a statement on a matter of general topic concern, namely the persistent delay by the Kenya Agricultural and Livestock Research Organization, KALRO, in paying salary. Mr. Speaker, sir, over the past year, KALRO employees across the country have experienced repeated delays in salary payments. Notably, January 2024, salaries were paid on February 16th. April 2024, salaries on May 9th, and May 2024, salaries were paid on June 12th. And then on August 2024, salaries were paid on September 13th. In all these instances, the institution failed to provide any explanation to its employees as to why those delays were necessitated. Mr. Speaker, sir, although there has been no outright default in salary payments, these persistent delays have caused significant inconveniences and hardship. Employees with bank standing orders and other time-sensitive financial commitments have been particularly affected. And furthermore, Mr. Speaker, these delays have disrupted personal financial planning, often forcing employees to take loans which accrue interest they would have otherwise avoided. Mr. Speaker, sir, additionally, KALRO has failed to implement the annual salary increments that were due last year without any communication from management. The lack of clarity regarding these increments has further exacerbated employee frustration and dissatisfaction. Mr. Speaker, sir, the combined effort of delayed salaries and an implemented salary increments has had a demoralizing impact on staff morale, particularly among scientists who play a crucial role in conducting applied and adaptive research to address the country's agricultural challenges. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is the fundamental responsibility of every employer, particularly a government institution, to ensure that salaries are paid on time. Mr. Speaker, this obligation is not merely a matter of goodwill. It is a contractual and an ethical commitment that reflects an employer's duty of care toward the employees. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, sir, I call upon KALRO to, 1, reform its salary processing system to ensure timely payment of salaries going forward. 2, implement the salary increment as per the agreed terms and condition. And 3, review its communication structure and practices to enhance transparency and accountability. And hopefully the Senate will take notice of this going forward, given that agriculture is devolved. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Seki.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. A statement on the recognition of the service of late Mr. Samuel Kaitoi. Honorable Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 52-1 to make a statement on a matter of national and international concern, namely the recognition of the service of the late Mr. Samuel Kaitoi, a young police constable who died on the line of duty while serving as part of the Kenyan-led and United Nations-backed multinational security support mission to Haiti. Mr. Speaker, sir, first and foremost, I wished to express my heartfelt sympathy and condolences to the family and friends of the late Mr. Kaitoi during this difficult time. Mr. Kaitoi was a committed and courageous officer who made a ultimate sacrifice to the service of both his country and Haiti, where he was working tirelessly to help restore peace. Mr. Speaker, sir, Mr. Kaitwai tragically lost his life on the Saturday, 23rd February 2025, after being shot during a security operation in response to a distress call from residents of Port Soudan area in Haiti, who had been suffering under the control of heavy armed gangs. His death is the first casualty of the multinational security support mission since its deployment in June 2024, and serves as a stunt reminder of the extreme dangers faced by those who served in peacekeeping missions around the world. It underscores the urgent need for enhanced support and protection to those risking their lives for global peace and stability. These officers need to be adequately armed and equipped to carry out their mission safely and effectively. Mr. Speaker, sir, I trust that the government is doing all that is within its powers to ensure the safety and dignity repatriations of the body of Mr. Kaitwai to Kenya. This must be done swiftly and without unnecessary bureaucratic delays. Furthermore, I call upon the government to advise reasonably financial assistance, to provide reasonably financial assistance to the bereaved family who have now lost their primary breadwinner. It is utmost importance that the government fulfill its moral obligation to demonstrate the nation commitment to honoring the sacrifice made to the state. Mr. Speaker, sir, I salute the service of this fallen hero. His bravery and ultimate sacrifice will forever be reminded. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Next on. Oh, no. Still we are under statements. Senator Dr. Mboni Kalwale, what is it you want clarified? The statement was
Thank you for
clear,
the opportunity, Mr. Speaker.
Under 52.1, you know the
Yes.
standing orders very well.
Small clarification. Mr. Speaker, the House will recall that we made a resolution here that gave effect to these young people to go to Haiti. Mr. Speaker, if you allow me, and if you permit, so that we demonstrate respect for life and respect for those ones who are still in the field, we honor this young man with 1 minute of silence, Mr. Speaker.
So, Senator Mboni Kalwale, are you giving instructions or you are communicating to the chair to consider?
Mr. Speaker, I was bringing it to your attention. Mr. Speaker, it's very sad. If we had had more time to intervene in these statements, Mr. Speaker, I would have asked the government not only to underwrite the costs as requested for the senator.
Now you have no opportunity to do that.
But Mr. Speaker, I would have asked for full compensation.
Can you put the request properly?
Yes, so my request, Mr. Speaker, is 2 things. One, if you allow, request the House to observe 1 minute of silence.
That's enough. No 2 requests, only one is
ile ya
enough for
pili.
this afternoon. So, honorable senators, let us stand and observe a 1 minute silence to honor the departed police officer. Wake up the majority leader. We are standing up. May the soul of the departed police officer rest in eternity. Amen. Okay, now we have a number of statements under 53.1. So whoever has a chance to read out his or her statement, to do it very quickly indeed. We start with Senator Modigi Alexander.
Request for statement on the administrative challenges in the Social Health Authority. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise person to standing order 53.1 to check a statement from the Standing Committee on Health regarding the administrative challenges affecting the operation of the Social Health Authority, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, on 12 November 2024, the acting chief executive officer for SAR was suspended for 19 days to allow investigations into his contract and performance. The prolonged vacancy in this critical leadership position has raised concerns among key stakeholders, including patients, staff, and the general public. In the statement, the committee should, 1, explain the reasons for the delay in appointing the CEO of the SAR and provide a timeline for the expected appointment. 2, provide details on the cause of the administrative challenges affecting the payment of outpatient claims. And 3, state the ministry plans to permanently address these challenges, including proposed solutions, implementation, timelines, and allocated funding. Senator Dr. Alexander Munyimondigi, Embu County.
Next, Senator Esther Okenyuri, MP.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Request for statement on allegations of child trafficking in government health facilities and informal clinics. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Health regarding allegations of child trafficking in government health facilities and informal clinics. In the statement, the committee should, 1, provide a detailed report on ongoing investigations into allegations of child trafficking facilitated by staff in government health facilities, particularly addressing allegations that a social worker attached to Mama Lucy Kibaki Hospital has facilitated the sale of multiple children. 2, outline the disciplinary and legal actions taken against government employees found complicit in child trafficking cases and state the collaborative measures in place between law enforcement agencies, health authorities, and child protection services to dismantle these illegal operations. 3, provide a status report on the licensing and regulatory oversight of private health facilities, explaining why unlicensed clinics continue to operate unchecked. 4, submit a list of licensed and unlicensed clinics in Kayole and other identified hotspots in informal settlements, outlining any actions being taken to shut down illegal clinics allegedly involved in child trafficking. And finally, indicate the measures being implemented to ensure compliance with health regulations, as well as the closure of facilities involved in illegal activities. Senator Esther Okenyuri, MP. Thank you.
Next, Senator Aminda Kibwana, you have 2 statements. Read them simultaneously.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Although the CS Health was here, but then there are questions that were not responded very well, and I'll still ask them. The status on the payment of liabilities of the defunct National Health Insurance Fund, NHIF. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Health regarding the status of payment of liabilities of the defunct National Health Insurance Fund, NHIF. In the statement, the committee should provide a comprehensive report on all unpaid liabilities of the defunct NHIF, including outstanding claims, pending payments to healthcare providers, and other financial obligations, explaining how these liabilities are being addressed, and number 2, outline a specific timeline for settlement of the said liabilities. I'll read the second one, Mr. Speaker. It's on the criteria used by the Social Health Authority, SHA, to empanel clinical officers. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Health regarding the criteria used by the Social Health Authority, SHA, to empanel clinical officers. Mr. Speaker, sir, concerns have been raised that SHA only recognizes clinical officers affiliated with the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union, KMPDU, leaving out the rest, including those affiliated with the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers, KUCO, KUCO. This has far-reaching implications as it places an unfair financial burden on millions of Kenyans, especially in rural areas who have to pay cash to access healthcare services as trusted health facilities operated by the excluded clinic officers. In the statement, the committee should explain the criteria used by the SHA to empanel clinical officers and their respective facilities, addressing the concerns that only clinical officers affiliated with KMPDU as recognized. And number 2, outline any measures in place to ensure that all qualified clinical officers and their respective health facilities are empaneled to facilitate seamless access to healthcare services across the country by everyone registered with SHA. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next is Senator Samson Chalagay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, request for a statement on the heated verbal exchange and altercation between employee of Kenya Airways KQ and a Nigerian passenger. Mr. Speaker, sir, I raise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Trade, Industrialization and Tourism regarding the heated verbal exchange and altercation between the employee of Kenya Airways KQ and Nigerian passenger at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, JKIA, on 3rd February 2025. In the statement, Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee should, 1, explain the circumstances that led to the heated verbal exchange and altercation between an employee of KQ and Nigerian passenger at JKIA on 3rd February 2025. Number 2, Mr. Speaker, provide an update on investigations into the matter, explaining what is being done by the government and the KQ to ensure the incident does not cause the airline to be blacklisted or subjected to fines by other jurisdictions. So, Speaker, sir, number 3, report on the allegations by the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, that KQ has a long-standing pattern of mistreatment towards Nigerian passengers, which could result in a diplomatic row between Kenya and Nigeria. So, Speaker, sir, number 4, explain actions taken by the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority, KCAA, and KQ to ensure airline staff at JKIA and other airports across the country work in a safe and dignified environment. And finally, Mr. Speaker, sir, outline actions being taken to mitigate the potential impact of the incident on the attainment of Kenya Airways KQ strategic objectives as details in its strategic recovery project, named Project Kifaru. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Next is Senator James Romene.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I stand on a request for a statement on the construction and upgrade of vital roads in Turkana County. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on roads, transportation, and housing regarding the construction and upgrade of Lomut Lokwamosing, bracket B18, and Ginyang Lokori Lokicher Road, bracket A10, roads in Turkana County. Mr. Speaker, sir, these roads are vital for opening of Turkana County to the rest of Kenya and play a key role in facilitating access to market, health care, education, and other vital services for the Turkana people. Despite their importance, these roads are still earth roads in many sections and are often rendered impassable by heavy rains. In the statement, the committee should, 1, explain delay in implementing the Ginyang Lokori Lokicher A10 and Lomut Lokwamosing B18 road construction projects, whose designs were completed in 2013 and 2016 respectively. 2, clarify whether the update of tender documents, design review and review of the environmental and social impact assessment and economic feasibility study reports for the project has been done, and if not, provide timeline within which this will be done. 3, provide a timeline for the commencement and completion of the projects, outlining measures put in place to ensure timely implementation. And 4, outline any steps the government is taking to address the potential adverse impacts of the projects as identified during the environmental and social impact assessment.
You have two statements.
Yes, sir.
Proceed and read the other one.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I request a statement on surging waters of Lake Turkana in Turkana County. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense, and Foreign Relations regarding the effort caused by surging waters of Lake Turkana in Turkana County. Mr. Speaker, sir, the alarming rise in water levels in Turkana County has submerged homes, roads, schools, and health facilities, displaced countless families, destroyed farmlands and grazing areas, and disrupted livelihood dependent on fishing and trade. Additionally, the increased presence of crocodiles has turned the lake into a danger zone with multiple fatal attacks reported. It is deeply concerned that despite the severity of crisis, no comprehensive assessment report has been presented by the relevant authority. The Kenya Meteorological Department has yet to provide an updated advisory on factors contributing to this unprecedented rise. Similarly, the National Disaster Management Authority has remained unresponsive, failing to deploy necessary emergency response measures, thus leaving residents vulnerable. In the statement, Mr. Speaker, the committee should, 1, provide a report on the causes of rising water levels in Lake Turkana and the proposed mitigation measures. 2, direct the National Disaster Management Authority to offer emergency relief, relocation plans, and protective measures for affected persons. And finally, outline the measures in place to prevent future environmental hazard leaks to rising water bodies. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Okay. Senator Seki Orekanar.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. A request for a statement on recruitment discrepancies in the 2023 Kenya Defence Forces recruitment exercise. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations regarding a regularity observed during the 2023 Defense Forces recruitment exercise, particularly affecting Ruben Ngige Modhoni, ID number 36754818, a resident of Ngaimurunya Ward, Kajiado North, Sub-County, Kajiado County. Mr. Speaker, sir, during the recruitment exercise at Ngong Stadium, the complainant was shortlisted and issued with a confirmation letter to report to the recruitment center. However, despite having his biometric and identification documents taken, he has never received any further communication, nor has his identification card been returned. In the statement, the committee should provide a list of candidates by name, nationality, nationality card, home county, and sub-county who were selected across all recruitment centers during the 2023 National Recruitment Center in the country. Obtain and review the final list of successful candidates who have completed training at the defense, determine whether the procedure was informally applied to all candidates. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. The statement by Senator Milaj Abdullahi, she has delegated that responsibility to Senator Minda Kibwana and also Senator
Joseph Githuku, Senator for Lamu County. Number 2, it's regarding the operationalization of Kiongwe and Mikinduni dispensaries in Lamu County. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee of Health regarding the operationalization of Kiongwe and Mikinduni dispensaries in Lamu County. In the statement, the committee should, 1, provide details on the state Kiongwe and Mikinduni dispensaries in Lamu County, explaining why the dispensaries are still non-operational despite completion of construction works. Number 2, set when the dispensaries will be made operational, outlining measures put in place by the county government of Lamu to ensure that the dispensaries are adequately staffed with qualified medical personnel and provide with the necessary medical equipment and supplies. Number 3, explain what the county government is doing to ensure that residents of Kiongwe and Mikinduni areas have access to quality healthcare services as provided for all in Article 43(1)(a) of the Constitution, pending the operationalization of the dispensaries. Senator Joseph Githuku, MP Senator for Lamu. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, good. Next is Senator for Taita Taveta County, Senator Jones Mwaruma.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Please allow me to seek this statement on behalf of Senator Mwaruma.
Okay, proceed.
Senator Mwaruma has two statements. One requests for a statement on the status of compensation for victims of human-wildlife conflict. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Lands, Environment and Natural Resources regarding the status of compensation for victims of human-wildlife conflict in Taita Taveta County. Mr. Speaker, sir, during a ceremony held on 12th July 2023 at Voi in Taita Taveta County, the then Cabinet Secretary for Tourism and Wildlife, Honorable Penina Malonza, announced that the government had released Kenya shillings 908 million to compensate victims of wildlife-related accidents across the county. In the statement, the committee should, 1, provide a report on all claims concerning human-wildlife conflict from 2014 to date, including details on the nature of claims, incident dates, claim submission dates, amounts claimed, and payment dates, while also clarifying on the disbursements of Kenya shillings 51.1 million allocated to 350 victims from Taita Taveta County. Specify the standard duration of claim settlement and outline measures to be taken against the Kenya Wildlife Services if payments exceed the stipulated period. Number 3, present an update on all payment and pending claims, reasons for non-payment, and the expected timelines for settling outstanding claims. And number 4, provide a status report on the Kenya shillings 322 million previously promised to settle claims dating back to the 1990s and the progress of the Wildlife Compensation Insurance Program, highlighting the annual budget allocation for compensation for compensating victims of human-wildlife conflict. Senator Jonis Maruma, MP, Senator for Taita Taveta County. The second statement, Mr. Speaker, sir, is a request for statement on boundary alteration between Taita Taveta and Kajiado counties. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations concerning the alteration on 4th day of July 2020 of the boundary between Taita Taveta County and Kajiado County at Rombo Ranch in Taita Taveta County by the county governments of Taita Taveta and Kajiado County. In the statement, the committee should, 1, explain whether due process and the rule of law were followed in the alteration of the said boundary and provide details of any registered boundary dispute that informed the boundary alteration. Number 2, submit copies of the public participation exercise as envisioned in the Article 232(1)(d) of the Constitution, which informed the decision, including the names, national identity card numbers, dates, and venues where the exercise was conducted in the 2 counties of Taita Taveta and Kajiado. Number 3, confirm whether the boundary realignment and alteration are legally binding and outline the steps required to revert the original boundary demarcation if necessary. Number 4, disclose whether the changes were deposited at the Survey of Kenya offices, the Independent Electoral and Boundary Commission, and other related bodies. And number 5, recommend appropriate remedial steps in the boundary alteration is found to have been conducted unlawfully. Senator Jones Maruma, MP. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Next is Senator Richard Onyonka. You have 2 statements.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I requested a statement on the delayed payments to facilitators of the 2024 Kenya Certificate of Secondary School Education, that is KCSE examinations, in Kisii County and the Republic of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Education regarding the delayed payments to supervisors, invigilators, and examiners of the 2024 Kenya Certificate of Secondary School Education examinations. Mr. Speaker, in the statement, the committee should, 1, provide reasons for the delay by the Kenya National Examination Council, NEC, to pay these supervisors, invigilators, and examiners who are engaged in the administering and marking of the 2024 KCSE examination, and particularly specifying the actions being taken to resolve this issue. Number 2, Mr. Speaker, the committee should indicate when the said facilitators will receive their outstanding dues and all other non-paid dues. Number 3, the committee should outline measures in place by the Ministry of Education and the Kenya National Examination Council to prevent occurrence of similar delays in the near future. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my second statement is a request for a statement on the status of pension schemes for former employees of the Kenya Pyrethrum Board, Kenya Medical Research Institute, and all other state corporations. Mr. Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare regarding the status of pension schemes of former employees of the Kenya Pyrethrum Board, the Kenya Medical Research Institute, KEMRI, the Technical University of Kenya, Kenyatta National Hospital, and other state departments and corporations. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is imperative that the government fulfills its obligations to retirees of our country who have dedicated their service to this nation. Mr. Speaker, delayed pensions payments and the mismanagement of these retirees' funds has significantly affected their well-being, and many of them, as you may note, Mr. Speaker, are most probably unwell because they are aged and old. Number 2, Mr. Speaker, I would want the committee to clarify the pension management framework of former employees of all state departments and corporations, including some of the defunct corporations, indicating whether these schemes are now fully funded or not, and addressing any ongoing disputes which may be taking place right now. And last, Mr. Speaker, on this same matter, I would want the committee to have a remitted pension contribution schedules of these delayed payments of our workers. Number 3, I would want the committee to outline any measures the government is taking to ensure that all eligible former employees of our government and state corporations are actually receiving their pensions and benefits without any further delays. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, I would want the committee to provide details of any legislative or policy reforms aimed at addressing inefficiencies and gaps in the pension system for employees in our state by the KK government. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity.
Next is Senator Professor Tom Ojenda. You have also 2 statements.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have 2 statements. The first is on fairness, non-discrimination, and due procedure in employment practices at China Square, Kisumu County. Mr. Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare regarding concerns over alleged unfair labor practices, ethnic profiling, and violation of labor laws at China Square, Kisumu County. Mr. Speaker, while investment in Kisumu County is encouraged, all businesses must comply with the law and uphold fair labor practices, ensuring that employees are treated with dignity, equity, and due process in recruitment, termination, and career progression. In the statement, the committee should, 1, provide information on the number of employee complaints received by the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection from China Square, Kisumu, since its establishment and how they've been addressed. 2, confirm whether the ministry has investigated the alleged labor rights violations at China Square, Kisumu, and provide details of their findings. 3, highlight any steps taken to ensure that China Square adheres to the Employment Act 2007, particularly regarding fair treatment, lawful termination, non-discrimination, and promotion of employees. 4, explain the mechanisms in place to protect affected employees from retaliation and ensure that their grievances are fairly resolved. And lastly, state the measures the government is taking to prevent similar labor rights violations by foreign-based businesses operating in Kenya. Mr. Speaker, my second statement is on Miwani Sugar Company and the payment of outstanding salary arrears to workers. Mr. Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock, and Fisheries regarding the stalled revival of Miwani Sugar Company and the long-standing issue of workers' unpaid salary arrears. Mr. Speaker, Miwani Sugar Company, one of Kenya's earliest sugar mills established in 1922, was placed under receivership in February 2001. This led to the retrenchment of 50 workers. What was initially intended as a temporary 90-day leave has now extended to over 26 years, leaving former employees in financial stress and leaving farmers struggling due to collapse of the sugar supply chain. Despite multiple plans to revive it, protracted legal battles over land ownership, government inaction, and lack of investment have stalled any meaningful progress. In the statement, the committee should, 1, state the total salary arrears owed to former employees of Miwani Sugar Company and indicate a timeline for the payment of the said arrears. 2, assess the socio-economic impact of the prolonged salary delays on the affected workers, their families, and the Miwani community, and outline specific remedial measures being implemented to mitigate these effects. 3, provide an update on the status of legal disputes over land belonging to Miwani Sugar Company and explain any steps the government is taking to resolve these cases to facilitate revival efforts. 4, disclose whether the government has engaged any strategic investor or partners to support the revival of Miwani Sugar, and outline the proposed timelines for implementation. And lastly, detailed policy reforms considered in the short, medium, and long term to prevent future mismanagement and ensure the sustainability of the sugar sector in Kenya. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. There are two statements by Senator Wambua Enoch. Yes, Senator Beatrice. You know I'm posing for you to make some decision, because I can see, you know, the consequences of dropping any business here. You made a resolution in Naivasha. Proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and for allowing me to read this, the request for statement by Senator Enoch Wambua. This is, Honorable Speaker, this is a request for a statement on the status of pending bills in Kitui County. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget regarding the status of pending bills in Kitui County. In the statement, the committee should, 1, provide a report on the total value of pending bills currently owed by the county government of Kitui, specifying the amount inherited from the previous administration. 2, outline the mechanisms in place to verify the authenticity of these bills to prevent fraudulent or inflated invoices. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, sir, provide timelines for the prompt payment of verified bills and explain how the county government plans to prevent the accumulation of pending bills in the future. Senator Enoch Wambua, CBS, MP, Senator for Kitui County. Honorable Speaker, there is a second statement by Senator Wambua. This is a request for statement on the status of health facilities in Kitui County. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Health regarding the status of health facilities in Kitui County. In the statement, the committee should, 1, provide the total number of health facilities in the county, categorized by classification, and indicate which are operational and which are non-operational. 2, explain the reasons for the frequent shortage of essential drugs and the inefficiencies in their distribution across county public health facilities. 3, list the number of staff working under the county health department with year-by-year data from 2013 to date. 4, outline the annual county budget allocation for the health department from 2013 to date. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, sir, disclose the total amount of revenue generated from health facilities as part of the county's own source revenue from 2013 to date. Senator Enoch Wambua, MP, Senator for Kitui County. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
There is also a statement by Senator Beatrice Ogora.
I thank you once more, Mr. Speaker, sir. This is request for a statement on violation of the 1/3 rule on public servants' salaries. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare regarding concerns over tax regimes that have led to a growing trend where public servants are receiving salaries that violate the provisions of the Human Resource Policies and Procedure Manual on the 1/3 basic rule. Mr. Speaker, sir, there is growing pressure on public servants due to the mismatch between salary deductions and the legal framework where public servants are receiving salaries that violate the constitutional 1/3 basic salary rule. which is exacerbated by recent tax changes. These tax changes, which include new mandatory contributions, have had a significant impact on the salaries of public employees. Mr. Speaker, sir, over the last 2 years, workers have seen deductions of 1.5% of their gross salary for affordable housing, along with an additional 2.75% deducted for the Social Health Insurance Fund. These deductions, Mr. Speaker, sir, while intended for social welfare programs, have pushed many civil servants below the one-third threshold of their basic salary, which is required by Section 3.1.13.3 of the Human Resource Policies and the Procedure Manual of 2016. According to this policy, Mr. Speaker, sir, no employee should commit more than 2/3 of their basic salary. However, the additional taxes and contributions are forcing workers to take home less than they should, leading to a real danger of throwing more people into the poverty net called the working poor, perhaps calling for the need to review existing policies to align them with the new tax realities. Mr. Speaker, sir, in the statement, the committee should, 1, state any measures the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection and Public Service and Human Capital Development have taken to safeguard the financials as well as the psychological well-being of all public servants, including county government workers, whose financial plans are adversely affected by the taxes and levies on salaries that have remained unchanged. And 2, explain the plans in place to cushion police officers, teachers, and all government employees against probable disciplinary actions as a result of being seen to have violated the 1/3 salary threshold as required by the Employment Act. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, sir, state any plans by the ministry to review the existing policies to align them with the new tax realities. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
So, Honorable Senators, I want to put the question on the number 8, and then I come back to give a few members to give comments on the statements. So, Clerk, next order.
Order number 8, motion. Variation of the resolution of the Senate on the report of the Committee of Powers and Privileges on the conduct of Senator Gloria Orwoba, MP.
So, Honorable Senators, this matter does not concern counties, and therefore it is a question should be put. But then, Clerk, can you confirm whether you have quorum? It is nowadays a requirement. Okay. Now that you have quorum, Honorable Senators, I put the question that aware that on 20th September 2023, the Senate adopted the report of the Committee of Powers and Privileges on the conduct of Senator Gloria Orwoba, MP, and resolved to suspend the Senator from the presence of Parliament for the remainder of the second session of the 13th Parliament, which period amounted to 79 calendar days. Cognizant that Senator Orwoba subsequently sought judicial intervention, obtaining a court order and staying the implementation of the Senate's solution until the matter was determined, and the High Court, in its judgment delivered on 15th January 2025, dismissed the petition, thereby reinstating the suspension. Considering that Senator Orwoba has shown a considerable level of remorse, and that following the communication by the Speaker on Wednesday, 12th February 2025, on the implementation of the resolution of the Senate, on the report of the Committee of Powers and Privileges on the conduct of Senator Gloria Orwoba, MP, the Senator was apologetic for her conduct. Now, therefore, pursuant to Section 17(3)(d) and G of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act, the Senate resolves to vary its resolution made on 20th September 2023 suspending Senator Orwoba from the Senate and precincts of Parliament for 79 calendar days, and reduces the suspension period to 30 calendar days, commencing 12th February 2025 to 13th March 2025, after which the Senator shall be allowed back to the Senate and the precincts of Parliament on the terms resolved by the Senate on 28th September 2023. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Now we go back to a few comments. We start with the Deputy Minority Whip, Senator Sifuna Edwin, Watenya.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Allow me to make brief comments on the statements by Senators Hamida and Senator Mundigi regarding the challenges facing the SHA rollout of the new social health insurance fund. Honorable Speaker, you can see that despite the fact that the Cabinet Secretary for Health was here in the morning, questions continue to abound. And Honorable Speaker, while she was here, after I had made my comments, and you know the rules of this House don't allow us to speak twice on the same issue, my phone was inundated by messages from these Universal Health UHC workers. Because as you know, Honorable Speaker, after the Gen Z movement, my number is now a public number. It was disseminated to just about everyone in the country. Honorable Speaker, out of the more than 500 messages that I got, I distilled the three issues from what those UHC workers were telling me. And these are matters that I think the committee now has to have a very intimate session, both with the leadership of the ministry and even these UHC workers themselves, Honorable Speaker, so that we get to the bottom of these matters. Number one, it is the opinion of these UHC workers that the Cabinet Secretary for Health, Deborah, might have misled this House on the question of whether all UHC workers have actually been put on permanent and pensionable basis. That in fact, Honorable Speaker, she only, or the ministry only confirmed the people working, or the UHC workers at the national hospitals, and that in fact 8,572 of those UHC workers are still on contract for the last 5 years. Honorable Speaker, this is a matter that the committee must get to the bottom of and report to this House. Number two, Honorable Speaker, it emerged that UHC nurses have been on strike for 3 weeks, Honorable Speaker, demanding to be put on similar terms to their colleagues who are working in these national institutions. And Honorable Speaker, they are saying that the ones who are not put on PNP, although they do the same work, in fact, they face the same workload, they are being paid up to a quarter of what their colleagues are earning because of the status. Honorable Speaker, they also told me that they have not been paid gratuity since the days of Corona in 2020. These are the messages that I received on my phone. And I'm hoping, Honorable Speaker, that when the committee sits down to deal with these questions from Senator Hamida and Senator Mundigi, that they will deal with this issue. Lastly, Honorable Speaker, I could also discern from those messages that the UHC workers are saying that there was a supplementary budget that was passed in the National Assembly for absorption of UHC workers. They just want to know, where did that money go? And unfortunately for me, Honorable Speaker, I had already spoken and I didn't get opportunity to ask that question directly to the CS. But now that this matter has come up again and it is being committed to the Committee of Health, I would want to encourage the Committee of Health led by Senator Mandako. Let him invite these UHC workers in the same room as the Cabinet Secretary, because, Honorable Speaker, the only way to get to the bottom of the truth when there is blame game, and they're also saying they're tired of the blame game between the government of Kenya, the ministry, and all other players. Can we have all these people in one room with the minister and let them get to the bottom of these issues? I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Wakoli David. Now, members, just under 2 minutes, kindly, because there are so many members who want to make comments, and there is also some business to transact. In the next 10 minutes, we should be through with this, the comments.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for this moment you've given for me to equally ventilate on the weighty matters as have been discussed by our able Minister for Health. Honorable Speaker, I want to concur with members that the UHC matter has been a thorn in the flesh of Kenyans for over now 10 years. And every time this matter arises, Honorable Speaker, we always see the Council of Governors and the Executive, the Ministry of Health, hold up in meetings discussing matters of UHC, and when things bubble out and get out of hand, then the Senate is called to mediate and get a solution. Time is up, Honorable Speaker, that the Senate takes its position to stamp its authority and demand that when matters dealing with devolution are being discussed at a meeting called a summit, we need our witnesses there so that we don't end up looking like morticians in the entire process. We need to be servants of the people who mediate a process with finality, with expectations that can be met, and not this merry-go-round that we see here today, Honorable Speaker. The matters of health volunteers or CHPs, Honorable Speaker, is a matter that is clearly known. And we cannot keep silent when these things are out of order. And I want to assure honorable members that as a member of the Committee of Health, we will not leave any stone unturned, but to ensure that we give the necessary support to the ministry and ensure that the part of the bargain by the county governments. Because, Honorable Speaker, when you look at the entire debate, it is the minister and the permanent secretaries who are firefighting on this matter. But health is devolved. The county governments are silent. They are not stepping up to be counted, and we shall equally put them to task to ensure that it's not only the national government that is asked questions and answers, but the county governments must equally stand up to be counted. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
What is it, majority leader? Him the mic.
Mr. Speaker, I beg for your indulgence. I noticed that earlier when our colleague Senator Lomonen did request that we have an adjournment motion, you slated it for 5 o'clock. But I want to bring it to your attention that at 5 o'clock we have a service at the home of our departed colleague, Senator Cheptumo, where many of our colleagues will be going to. Therefore, I want to plead with you, Mr. Speaker, understanding order number 1, if you could vary that decision so that perhaps we can start at quarter past 4, possibly, so that by around 5 when we finish, many of our colleagues, then we can join the rest of our colleagues who are already gone to Senator Cheptumo, the late Senator Cheptumo's home for that service. So I want to plead with you, Mr. Speaker, that you allow us, if you so permit, that we begin discussing the adjournment motion by Senator Lomonen at 4:15. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Majority leader, I'm somehow convinced that I should give that leeway. So at exactly 4:15 p.m., we will adjourn the House now to discuss the motion which was brought forth by Senator Romenen James. 4:15 p.m. So you shouldn't be around because you are the mover of the motion. Then at 5, we will see whether maybe the House can be adjourned because of the prayers at our colleague's house. So next is Senator Boni. You have really tried to catch my eye many times. You are on the list, but I can see, I don't know whether you have a very burning issue that you want to put on the statements.
Mr. Speaker,
within 2 minutes, kindly, 2 minutes.
The issue raised by Senator Hamida is very important on share and universal health care, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the committee must put the minister to task. The money owed to NHIF, and which is the reason why private hospitals have cut services to the public, putting their lives at great risk, Mr. Speaker, is a mere 19 billion shillings. 9 billion, which the minister has paid, 10 billion is pending. It is quite possible in 1 week. The money that the government wastes on teas in offices, on decorating offices with flagrant flowers, can be stopped for a week and utilized to pay off these hospitals so that the services can continue, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, equally, the minister must be put to task. Yes, she has said they have increased the money they pay as SHA towards ICU from 4,600 now to 28,600. The minister is a doctor of medicine. She knows, or she ought to know, that to be in ICU, you will be lucky if less than 200,000 is spent on you. So a paltry 28,000 shillings cannot make a difference, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the matter raised by Senator Cherargei about the employees of KQ, again, we must put the ministry under pressure. I remember, Mr. Speaker, not so long ago, the Speaker of the National Assembly, Senator Wetangula, was held for 45 minutes at the airport because they were insisting that he must produce his ID so that he could be identified whether he was indeed the Wetangula he was claiming to be. Mr. Speaker, these are the PR issues that our KQ staff requires to be trained so that their emotional intelligence is grown. And finally, Mr. Speaker, the matter raised by Senator Seki about the discrepancies on the recruitment of members of staff in the Kenya Defense Forces. Again, we must insist and we must be told the composition, county by county, region by region, ethnic community by ethnic community in the KDF, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is very sensitive finishing because we are coming heels from the ruling by the High Court, which found that in the Kenya Revenue Authority, there were only 2 communities that are favored for employment. These same problems is still in the Kenya Defense Forces. We want our young people to enjoy service to the nation. I thank you for the chance, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Beatrice Akinyi Ogora.
Honorable Speaker, I rise to support the statement by the Senator for Kisii, Senator Richard Onyonka, that is concerned about the delayed payments to facilitators of the 2024 Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education examination. Honorable Speaker, we are all products of teachers. Honorable Speaker, even as you sit there, if there were no teachers in your life, you probably would not have been the Speaker today. I support this statement because, Honorable Speakers, teachers sacrifice their holidays when they go to mark exams. When the exams have been marked, Honorable Speaker, the whole country celebrates the work and the sweat of teachers who have stayed away from their families for weeks over the December holidays as they mark exams. Honorable Speaker, there must be some planning by the Kenya National Examination Council that you cannot engage teachers if you are not ready with their payments, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, you will also feel very sympathetic to our teachers on the environments where they stay over the marking period. A number of times they stay in schools, they sleep in dormitories where their children also sleep during school holidays. They eat the same food that children eat, and we have often seen even in public, in the newspapers about the cries of these teachers because of the environments that they sacrifice to be in over the holidays so that Kenyans would be able to celebrate the results. Honorable Speaker, I happen to have been the wife of a teacher also. And over the holiday, me and my children, and that is all to the families of teachers, whether they are madam teachers or male teachers, that their families sacrifice over this period. Honorable Speaker, I support that this must be looked into. It cannot be that in this country's teachers continue suffering over their rights. The facilitators must be paid, Honorable Speaker. And as they engaged in future, Honorable Speaker, there must be a commitment that the monies that they will be paid is ready even before they start on the exercise, Honorable Speaker. As I support, Honorable Speaker, I also want to support the statement that has been brought by Senator Ojienda over the mistreatment and labor.
Senator Felix Tobiko.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wanted to contribute to the statement that was brought by Senator Seki on the most unfortunate demise of Samuel Kaitwai, an officer who was with a team of police officers who were at Haiti. Mr. Speaker, this very young man, less than 30 years old, has left a very young family, Mr. Speaker, and he was the only breadwinner of the family. Mr. Speaker, we thank the government for coming out openly about the loss of this officer. But, Mr. Speaker, for Kenyans to appreciate the role these people have played, our officers have played in peacekeeping missions, we call upon government to support this family. The family has, he had left a house that he was building. He has left very young kids, Mr. Speaker, and we ask for this family to be supported. Mr. Speaker, because I can see the light has gone off, Mr. Speaker, I also needed to mention, because I have been mentioning at the floor of this house, there is even no road to go to the home of this young man, who is my relative and he's my neighbor, Mr. Speaker. Can the road even be graded so that we are able to go and give this young officer a decent burial, Mr. Speaker? Let the government even just do grading of the road from KAG going to Naserian, Mr. Speaker, because there is no road. Mr. Speaker, this is the embarrassment that we face every day, to be associated with bad roads, bad infrastructure that needs to be addressed. Mr. Speaker, those who will carry that body to that place, I don't know whether they are going to fly, but we don't have a road.
Is it a county road or a national road? Yeah, so next is Senator Mwinyi Faki.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa fursa kuchangia taarifa ya kuhusiana na kucheleweshwa kwa mishahara kwa shirika la Carlo ambayo imeletwa bungeni na Senator Eddie Okech, Senator wa Migori. Mheshimiwa Spika, ni aibu kwamba shirika la serikali kama Carlo linashindwa kulipa mishahara yake kwa wafanyaji kazi kwa wakati kama inavyolazimisha sheria. Mheshimiwa Spika, tumeona kwamba katika maombi ya taarifa hayo ni kuwa mishahara imeweza kuchelewa kuanzia mwaka jana Januari. Na mheshimiwa, sio shirika hili pekee yake ambalo linachelewesha mishahara. Kuna shirika la Posta, Mheshimiwa Spika, Postal Corporation of Kenya, ambao limekuwa linachelewesha mishahara. Mheshimiwa Spika, nikizungumzia hivi sasa mshahara wa mwisho ambao walilipa ulikuwa ni mshahara wa mwezi wa 8 mwaka 2024 kwa wafanyakazi wake. Kwa Mheshimiwa Spika, ni aibu mashirika kama haya kuendelea kuaibisha serikali wakati wale ambao wako katika mamlaka ya mashirika haya wanashindwa kulipa mishahara ya wafanyakazi ambao wanajitolea kufanya kazi kuanzia tarehe 1 mpaka tarehe 30. Mheshimiwa Spika, ningeomba kuwa katika kuchunguza masuala haya ya Carlo ijumuishwe pia shirika la Posta, ili wao pia waweze kuja kujieleza hapa ni kwa nini wanachelewesha mishahara ya wafanyakazi wao kwa muda wa miezi 4 au miezi 5. Vile vile pia pesa za pension, pesa za madeni ambao wako nao wafanyakazi hazipelekwi kwa wakati.
Mheshimiwa Spika, pia ningependa kugusia tu masuala ya afya ambayo yamekuja katika taarifa iliyoombwa na Seneta wa Kitui. Mheshimiwa Spika, afya ni muhimu. Wiki iliyokwisha mimi pia nilileta swala la afya kutoka katika kaunti ya Mombasa, na natumai kwamba kamati husika inaongozwa na Seneta Mandago itaweza kulivalia njuga swala hili, kwa sababu afya ndio maisha ya watu wetu. Mheshimiwa Spika, ikiwa huduma za afya zimedorora, wananchi hawezi kupata huduma za afya katika kaunti zetu, Mheshimiwa Spika, hiyo itakuwa ni kurudi nyuma na itakuwa sio sawa kwa maendeleo ya nchi yetu. Mheshimiwa Spika, kuna wengine wanasema kwamba hizi huduma za afya kwa vile zimelemea kaunti zetu, afadhali ziregeshwe kwa serikali kuu, ambayo hiyo pia itakuwa, Mheshimiwa Spika, ni kinyume na ugatuzi.
Minute again, we can authorize it to Senator Abbas Sheikh.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to contribute to Honorable Senators Onyoka's statement that I agree with him that every county must have a national referral hospital. Honorable Speaker, especially in areas that I mentioned, Wajir and Mandera is almost 1,000 kilometers from Nairobi, and the roads are just very bad status. Honorable Speaker, I think that what he has said.
Tabas, it's now 4:15, so you know we are agreed on what to do at 4:15. So, Senator Romenen, can you move the motion?
Mr. Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion, that pursuant to Standing Order 37, the Senate now adjourned to discuss a definite matter.
I requested you to move the motion.
Okay, I beg now to move the motion, Standing Order 37, the Senate now adjourned to discuss a definite matter of national importance, namely the killing of Kenyan fishermen and Mukat in Todonyang area on Saturday, 22nd February 2025, that allegedly left at least 25 Kenyans unaccounted for and 15 boats belonging to Kenya fishermen stolen. Mr. Speaker, sir, I really rise before this House with great urgency and deep sorrow to address tragic massacre of 22 people, fishermen from Turkana County, have lost their life in a place called Napeimukat along the Kenya-Ethiopia border. This heinous attack, Mr. Speaker, was perpetuated by Dasanach militia and Ethiopia Special Forces on Saturday, 22nd February 2025. It's an unacceptable violation of our nation's sovereignty and direct assault on security and dignity of Turkana people. This call for an urgent visit by CS Interior Onesimus Murkomen, accompanied by DIG Eliud Langat, GSU Commander Transon Lolumodonoi, and Rift Valley RC Abdi Hassan on 24th February 2025. During these visits, Mr. Speaker, the security measures and the way forward were mandated to RC Regional Commissioner Abdi Hassan in close collaboration with Turkana County Commission, Julius Kafita. Mr. Speaker, reports indicate that killings in Natira and Lepeimukat near the Ethiopia military base in Morpus were masterminded and executed by Ethiopia military with support of Ethiopia's special forces at the Dasanash community in a well-planned attack to kill and dump, Mr. Speaker, to kill and dump the bodies into the lake. As a matter of fact, more than 22 Turkana fishermen were brutally murdered in cold blood and dumped into the water. So far, little efforts have been made to retrieve their bodies for proper handing over to the grieving loved ones who remained in deep sorrow after losing their family breadwinners, discarded like garbage into the lake. Mr. Speaker, in addition, intelligence sources confirm that the Ethiopian military has been evacuating the Dasanash community from Lopeimukat, Namorpus, Salany, Kalam village to IDP camp in a place called Omrata town. Consequently, thousands of Dasanash militiamen have recruited alongside Ethiopia's soldiers and have taken strategic position along the border of Namorpus and Salany, less than 20 kilometers from Kenya's ESU base, and in Lopeimukat, Kenya, which is Kenya's land, Mr. Speaker. They are heavily armed, fully prepared for the aggression. The objective is clear: to destabilize Turkana North and wipe out our people. Armed with sophisticated weapons, Mr. Speaker, they are anticipating possible retaliatory action and are ready to launch further attacks. Mr. Speaker, despite the gravity of this situation, the response from the government has been grossly inadequate. During the recent visit of CS Murkomen to Todonyang and subsequent talks between Kenya security and Ethiopia, local administration and its military, the Ethiopian Special Forces have only agreed to return stolen boats, motorbike, and 2 guns of NPR, while refusing to discuss the retrieval of bodies, our slain countrymen. The deliberate disappearance of bodies is a calculated strategy to erase evidence, tactic previously unseen in cross-border attacks. Honorable Speaker, credible intelligence suggests that another attack on Todonyang could happen within 5 days or even sooner. The Ethiopian military and Dasanash militia are fully prepared for war, and other actions demonstrate a total disregard for peace and diplomacy between the two countries, Kenya and Ethiopia. To secure, Mr. Speaker, the country border and protect innocent civilians, I call upon this Senate and national government, Minister of Interior, to take the following urgent measures. First, deployment of security forces. Immediate deployment of Kenya Defense Force and additional security personnel to strategic locations along the volatile Turkana-Ethiopia border. 2, rapid response and rescue operations. Formation of specialized security and rescue team to retrieve the bodies of victims dumped in Lake Turkana and to provide urgent medical attention to survivors. 3, Mr. Speaker, sir, strengthening National Police Service, NPR, enhancing community security by increasing and equipping NPR personnel. 4, Mr. Speaker, sir, advanced surveillance measures, deployment of drones and other modern surveillance equipment to monitor enemy movements and deter further attacks. 5, Mr. Speaker, sir, improving network connectivity. Established a robust Safaricom communication mast and system to enable a real-time security response. 6, setting up an import immigration point, enhancing border control to regulate movement and prevent further incursions. 7, Mr. Speaker, sir, establishment of trading posts, strengthening cross-border trade and means of promoting stability and cooperation. Mr. Speaker, sir, Turkana people are living under constant threat. At the northern Tordonyanga border, the failure to act decisively will not only put more lives at risk, but also expose the incompetence of leadership in protecting the security and security of our nation. I urge the national government to heed this recommendation and act with urgency and seriousness that this crisis demands. Mr. Speaker, sir, I extend my heart condolences to these people who are still have anxiety of receiving their their loved ones who have been thrown in the water. Mr. Speaker, sir, I remain committed to pursuing justice, ensuring the retrieval of people's bodies, and advocating for local security measures to end these senseless killings. The people of Turkana deserve to live in peace and dignity. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I move the motion, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Who is seconding?
Cherengei.
Senator Chalagay, 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I want to rise to support this adjournment motion. And Mr. Speaker, on the onset, I want to pass my deepest condolences to the families, friends, and the great people of Turkana for the tragic losses of more than 22 Kenyans that we lost, and there are unaccounted for 15 boats that are yet to be recovered. Mr. Speaker, I treat this as a terrorist attack. It was not a normal attack. It looks like it was well coordinated. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I want to challenge the National Homeland Security, the Kenya Defense Forces, the National Intelligence Service, Mr. Speaker, and all other organs that are in security apparatus to move with speed and pursue these criminals. I don't want to imagine these are ordinary Ethiopians, Mr. Speaker. These are terrorists, because many years Ethiopia and Kenya have shared this border in a cordial manner, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, we extend our deepest condolences, Mr. Speaker, call upon the KDF, Mr. Speaker, to swing into action, the Internal Security Ministry, Mr. Speaker, the National Intelligence Services, and you have seen we have made great strides, especially in northern Kenya, where there is proper collaboration among many agencies in fight against Al-Shabaab. Mr. Speaker, I expect that even the African Union and East Africa community to treat this attack as terrorist attack. Mr. Speaker, you remember the case of Sudan, when they attacked the America, and many years Sudan was being blacklisted until they compensated the Americans that were killed in terror attack, and even the Libya case of Lockerbie, Mr. Speaker, where Muammar Gaddafi had to compensate. Though these 22 lives, 15 boats, must and should be accounted for and compensated by the Ethiopian government. And the Ethiopian government must hand over these criminals for prosecution within Kenya, so that we stop this issue of criminals going and hiding, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, another aspect I wanted to increase is road network must be improved in that region. Mr. Speaker, there was a proposal of putting a fence between Kenya and Somalia. We should also see how we can put a fence between Ethiopia and Turkana County, Mr. Speaker, or Kenya. Mr. Speaker, the NPR should be double, proper remuneration, Mr. Speaker, and further training of National Police Reservists. And they should be given a way of rapid response unit, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, number 3 is, of course, I thought Safaricom and network coverage. We must agree that we need network coverage in those regions so that it becomes easy, Mr. Speaker, to track and eliminate these terrorists. I don't call them Ethiopians, I call them terrorists because what they did is inhuman, is animalistic behavior, Mr. Speaker, and network connectivity, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the issue of border control, it is sad. Mr. Speaker, as East African community, we are encouraging movement of goods and people, but it looks that our neighbors are abusing this privilege. We must intensify the border control so that we eliminate people who are terrorists or people who want to bring disharmony. We are not saying Ethiopians should not come to Kenya or Kenyans should not go to Ethiopia. We need a robust way of handling the immigration, especially in Turkana County, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, we need to bring activities that bring unity like trading points, sports and games so that they can solidify, Mr. Speaker. I want to empathize and sympathize with the great people of Turkana, Mr. Speaker. It is unfortunate that as we today, Kenya has been relatively stable. But I want to ask KDF, the national government, the president, and the people concerned, Mr. Speaker, to ensure they pursue these criminals. Ethiopia has been a friendly nation. Kindly let them hand over those criminals for proper prosecution under terror charges. In fact, it should be charged under anti-terrorist act, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, I saw the CS of Interior saying it was a small challenge. I don't think it was not a small challenge. The CS of Interior, Murkomen, should at least in future have empathy. He said in Tiati this was a small challenge, and yet 22 people had died. So even as government officials, we must be empathetic, we must show remorse. You cannot call, if you are calling 22 lives small challenge, what does it mean to the ordinary Kenyans who lost 1 or 2 Kenyans? Mr. Speaker, with those many remarks, I beg to second this motion.
Honorable Senators, I propose the question that pursuant to Standing Order 37, the Senate do now adjourn to discuss a definite matter of urgent national importance, namely the killings of Kenyan fishermen at Napemkat in Tondonyang area on Saturday, 22nd February 2025, that allegedly left at least 22 Kenyans unaccounted for and 15 boats belonging to Kenyan fishermen stolen. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, first I want to join my 2 colleagues who have spoken before me on this matter, alongside the people of Kenya, to pass our condolences to the people of Turkana following the loss of life on such a significant scale. 22 lives, Mr. Speaker, and yet others that we are yet to know if they are alive or they have since been killed, Mr. Speaker, is not a matter to be taken lightly. This is murder most foul, because these people had gone to fend for their lives. Mr. Speaker, it's the only way and the only economic activity that people actually participate in the Tondonyang area of Turkana County, Mr. Speaker. We're in Turkana County 2 years ago, and you saw for yourself the hardship that those Kenyans have to endure, Mr. Speaker, while trying to eke out a living. It's not your everyday place. It is what I call the forgotten corners of this country, places that devolution and strategic government interventions only, Mr. Speaker, can bring them actually to be part and parcel of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, those people, by every deed and action, and each time acts such as this happen to them, it reminds them how far away from the center they are removed. And it reminds us all, Mr. Speaker, as we sit in the lofty seats of these houses of parliament, Mr. Speaker, either in the Senate or the National Assembly, as we pass laws, as we do budgets, Mr. Speaker, as we share resources, to always remember, Mr. Speaker, that Kenya is a big country, that we cannot continue to only invest in certain sections of a country on account of only votes, on account of only population, Mr. Speaker. That's why this House previously has stood firm when we discuss the 3rd generation of revenue sharing, Mr. Speaker, because we were intentional. Senate is a house of equity. That is why, Mr. Speaker, the senator for Lamu, who perhaps is voted in by a number equivalent to the votes that maybe are in just one ward in another county, Mr. Speaker, has the same number of votes as the senator for Kiambu and Nairobi, who are voted in by other hundreds of thousands, Mr. Speaker. One vote is one in this house, Mr. Speaker, because we are a house of equity. That is why, Mr. Speaker, many regard us to be the upper house. We may not have the keys to the pass, Mr. Speaker, but at least we have the passcode to making this country great through equalizing development and ensuring that resources are shared equally in all the corners of this county, Mr. Speaker. That in this day and age, Mr. Speaker, it can take this long to get news first out of what happened. And up to now, Mr. Speaker, we continue to struggle to establish where the rest of these other Kenyans are, tells you how much investment is needed in those border counties and the frontier counties of this nation, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that our citizens are protected. I want to plead, Mr. Speaker, with our colleagues who sit in the National Assembly, those that have the power to budget, that we must carry out modernization of our police service, Mr. Speaker, so as to ensure that our police can quickly respond to these acts. Second and most importantly, Mr. Speaker, we expect an apology from the government of Ethiopia, Mr. Speaker. We also expect that a better communication from them on who these criminals are, Mr. Speaker, and what led to them invading the territory of Kenya, Mr. Speaker, and committing these heinous crimes, Mr. Speaker. I do hope, Mr. Speaker, that other than that, Mr. Speaker, this will serve as a lesson on the need to keep the corners of this country that are prone to this kind of attacks, where people from other countries, Mr. Speaker, attack us and our citizens end up losing life. I want to plead, Mr. Speaker, that even the rest of the country gives this problem the kind of attention that would have been given if 22 people, God forbid, had been shot here in Nairobi, Mr. Speaker. Because there's an unfortunate trend, Mr. Speaker, where life is only equated or given seriousness if it is here in the capital, Mr. Speaker. You know, the other day when we were discussing about these challenges, about people disappearing, those that live in the frontier counties and counties such as Turkana were wondering what you are talking about, because that is the occurrence they live with on a daily basis. And many of their kins, when they disappear, they never get to see them again, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, I want to challenge that let this, Mr. Speaker, not be allowed to be just another occurrence without proper justice being served, Mr. Speaker, to the people of Turkana and them feeling that indeed their people have not lost their life in vain. May it be the last of such occurrences that happen through serious intervention and investment into that particular region so that our people don't die like flies. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. Next is Senator Beatrice Ogora.
Honorable Speaker, it's a sad day for this republic, and I want to add my voice to the fact that there's lots of suffering in this county, Turkana. I want to feel with our brother, the Senator of Turkana. But, Honorable Speaker, Kenya as a nation is a sovereign country. And in this country, Honorable Speaker, we have all grown, and everybody knows that this is a country where we preach peace, love, and unity, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, what has happened in Turkana is not only a violation of Turkana as a county, but a violation of this country, this peace-loving country that we have in this republic. Honorable Speaker, in this republic, we live with almost every other person that comes from this continent, Honorable Speaker. And at no time do we treat them with unjust, with the kind of criminality we have seen in Turkana. Honorable Speaker, if we can lose over 20 people at the hands of a foreign country, Honorable Speaker, this is a pathetic situation. Honorable Speaker, we have no problem with counties that border this republic. Mahatma Gandhi once said that you hate the sin, but love the sinner. As we love the Ethiopians or whoever they are, the government must come out strongly to indicate and to show and to demonstrate that we hate the sin and it cannot be encouraged, Honorable Speaker. The last time we were in Turkana over Senate Mashinani, we all saw the suffering that the people of Turkana undergo. And it cannot be fair that on top of the suffering, on top of the environment that is there, then they lose their lives at the hand of foreigners. Honorable Speaker, just last year, We saw on June 25th, when Parliament was invaded, the next day we saw that the army were all over this city taking care of everybody else. I expected that that is what we should be seeing in Turkana. And Honorable Speaker, as I support this motion, as I feel with our brothers and sisters in Turkana, I hope this will never, never happen again, not only in Turkana, but to any other Kenyan in this republic. And I want to call none other than the President, His Excellency, the President, William Ruto, to take charge and to ensure that the Turkanans are supported, are protected, but most of all, Honorable Speaker, we are Africans that believe that even when we lose one, we must be able to get the body and be at peace with the loss that we have. We must support Turkana, and the government must ensure that the 22 that have been killed, whether they are thrown in Lake Turkana or whether they are elsewhere, the government must go ahead and retrieve these bodies so that their loved ones are at peace with themselves. Honorable Speaker, I condemn this kind of criminality, and I want to say that the sovereignty of this country that preaches peace, love, and unity to our countrymen and beyond is protected. Honorable Speaker, I stand with our brother, Senator Lomelen.
Senator Abbas Sheikh Mohammed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to join also Senator Lomelen and the rest of the members who talked, and I want to condole and send my condolences to the families that lost their loved ones. Honorable Speaker, as you're aware, this country has the longest border lines with the most of Africans, the neighborhoods, especially who are unstable. In Southern Sudan, Ethiopia, Somalia. In this country, most of them are unstable, and there's no proper law and order because, as you're aware, there's so many criminals roaming around with sophisticated weapons. And as a result, Kenya borders have remained porous and unmanned for many years. You have seen many officers. Actually, we have very few officers in the field. Kenya borders are not manned by Kenyan men and women of the armed forces and the police officers. They are manned by the locals. And therefore, it is a high time, I think, the locals also be armed, for especially those areas, so they can be able to protect themselves. Instead of, telling them that they are having illegal guns and all these things. I think it's a high time these people should be licensed so they can be able to fight and repel the fighter, the people who invaded them. Because many lives have been lost in Turkana, even in Mandera, in Wajir, everywhere. The people are roaming with guns, coming from borderlines, raiding their animals, and therefore we remain unprotected. And as a result, I will request that we must come up with a policy and a law that will be able to take care and arm people of the borderlines so they can be able to protect themselves. One other thing, Honorable Speakers, we need to establish more border posts. Kenyans, actually, we have so many trained officers. We have the GSU, we have the RDU, we have the structural units which are well trained. But unfortunately, the most unfortunate thing is those officers, most of them are now guided as VIPs. The VIPs have actually taken half of the police officers in this country, right from the presidency to the MCS. There are so many. Half of the Kenya police are actually under VIP guides. They have been guiding the police officers, the VIPs. It is the high time that we must come up with a policy to reduce the number of police officers who are guided the VIPs. The VIPs can even use the other security officers, like the security, what do you call this, KKs and all these things. Then having police officers that you have used so much money to train them, and then the Kenyans are dying by the day by being killed by criminals. So I think they should be now a law that reduce the number of VIPs, police officers guiding one other thing, guiding the VIPs. One other thing, Honorable Speakers, our officers are poorly armed. They cannot match those criminals. Those guys have sophisticated guns, they have ammunition, they have money, they're selling even drugs to take care of themselves. Officers are not paid their allowances, they live in those places, they are not even getting their salary in time, they have no ammunition, they have nothing. It is a high time that we must also change our policy, that we'll be able to protect ourselves. So these people should be taken care of, they should be paid their allowances, they should pay their salary in time. And they should not be kept because they're demotivated and they stay in the very harsh areas for a long time. So that there must be a specific time to keep those officers in those places so that they can be able to rotate in time. So that at least everybody will be motivated to stay at a certain place at a certain time with a certain kind of allowances. Honorable Speaker, I think it's also infrastructure. The roads are not passable. The roads are in very poor condition. Even if today you send a vehicle to rescue those guys, they cannot make it to that place. I was seeing, the other day when the president was saying that he's building 720 kilometers road to Mandera. Some Kenyans were making jokes. Oh, why? As if Kenya, Wajir and Mandera is not part of Kenya. And actually, it is the same thing for Turkana. So I think it's a high time that we must accept that those areas need to be developed. Kenyans cannot be rescued, especially in Turkana, in Mandera and Wajir, because of the road conditions. I think this is a high time that we must give enough budget for those roads to be developed so that we can be able to save Kenyans because we're losing so many lives. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Onyonka Richard.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand here to also condole with my friend and colleague, Senator Lomenen, because he is dealing with a very intricate matter that sometimes is quite surprising to many of us. Mr. Speaker, I grew up in this country of ours that we love, listening to how many times cattle rustlers were running all over the place, killing people at the far-flung areas of Kenya, and I thought those were people who were very far, and I didn't even have to be concerned about what their lives have become. Mr. Speaker, as a member who's very proud to be in the opposition, once again, I am going to start asking the sitting government to explain to us why our people are being killed within our borders. I am going to be requesting that this House must begin to interrogate and analyze what our responsibility is. Like I've heard Honorable Ali Abbas has spoken very ably. Why don't we start thinking about the legislation that we need to make sure that we are now beginning to pass laws and change some of the laws that we have so that if we have to create border point police posts and police stations, then so be it. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Abbas has also talked about border posts. The other day, as a member of this Senate, we traveled to Mandera. I was shocked that Mandera is actually not a one-stop shop border post between Kenya and Ethiopia. Even though you will hear that business is taking place, people are crossing over the border, and life has gone on normally. I would wish that the government will take Turkana seriously, look at all the challenges that the county is facing. It is very sad to lose 20, and on some figures we are being told the people who died could be 40. And to make matters worse, Mr. Speaker, these were individuals who are being killed and thrown into Lake Turkana. It's inhuman, it's unfair, but I think we also need to be more responsible. We also need to make sure as a country, and I agree with what Honorable Chirarge said, where you find that the Minister for Interior is saying that this is a very small incident which has not, it's not. The death of one person like the brother we lost in Haiti is one too many. So, Mr. Speaker, we don't want anybody to trivialize cattle rustling, inter-border, cross-border wars. And the truth is, Mr. Speaker, we have the evidence. We have the people who know. I mean, I could use the Karamoja issue. the frequent war that was taking place between the Karamoja and the Karamoja in Uganda and the Turkanas in Kenya. And Museveni, I think for the first time, he made a wonderful decision of picking his wife, even when I disagree about us employing our relatives. And Mrs. Museveni actually solved the problem between the Karamoja of Uganda and the Turkana of Kenya. So why don't we get, maybe I wanted to say, Honorable MNN, that our president could also pick Madam Rachel and even make her the Minister for Interior, if that is what it means that we solve this problem. So that, because as a mother, she may understand, and I think the people might believe her more if she came in as a peace ambassador to make sure that this cattle rustling and killing of Kenyans by outsiders and our borders are open is something that we must stop as soon as possible. With these remarks, I really hope that the government will move as fast and as quickly, and the government can interrogate this matter. The government should even think right now. He can come to this house and ask us to give it permission to allow the Kenya Defense Forces to actually go to those areas and try and make sure that we maintain peace on a permanent basis. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Senator Sifuna Edwin.
Honorable Speaker, I want to take this opportunity on behalf of the people of Nairobi as well to convey our heartfelt condolences and commiserations with the people of Turkana through their Senator, Honorable Lomenen, who has caused this adjournment motion for us to discuss the situation in Turkana. Honorable Speaker, as you know, I am a very proud Secretary General of the Orange Democratic Movement, a party that has very strong presence in Turkana. Honorable Speaker, in Turkana North, we are represented in the National Assembly by Honorable Ekwom Nabuin, who was elected on an ODM ticket, and his Turkana South counterpart, Honorable Ariko Namoit, who represents Turkana South, yes. Honorable Speaker, these two members of parliament have taken the liberty to brief the party on the situation in Turkana as they see it. In fact, Honorable Speaker, I want to go through some of the things, the reports that we have gotten from our two members of parliament. And this brief is something that I will be presenting before a meeting of the organ of the party that is scheduled tomorrow, Honorable Speaker. Number one, Honorable Speaker, it is clear that this attack was carried out by Ethiopian militia who are operating on the northernmost tip of Turkana County, Honorable Speaker. And that according to these two members of parliament, there are actually more than 30 fishermen who are feared dead and who are missing and feared massacred inside the lake during that attack, Honorable Speaker. They also confirmed to us at the party that they are yet to retrieve the bodies because the Ethiopian side is not cooperating and unwilling to engage with them. Honorable Speaker, according to these two members of parliament, the Foreign Office in Kenya is failing the people of Turkana because there has been no involvement at all in terms of support by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And this is something that is very troubling because according to them, at least the CS for Interior is present there, the Honorable Murkomen is there, and the CS for Asal areas, the Honorable Beatrice School, has been with them together with the County Commissioner. But that there has been no presence whatsoever of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and this is a problem because especially because they have said that they would require cooperation of the Ethiopian government and the Ethiopian authorities for them to conduct search and rescue operations to retrieve these bodies and find the people who are missing. Honorable Speaker, our members of parliament have also told us that on the night of the attack, and maybe the senator for Turkana can confirm, there was no network coverage. That somehow the network by Safaricom experienced an outage on the night of the attack, making it impossible for them to save lives. Honorable Speaker, the argument by these two members of parliament is that if they were able to communicate the attack early, that many, many lives would have been saved. And this is something that Senator Lomenen can also confirm. They are there currently, Honorable Speaker, the two members of parliament and also the senator, trying to calm our people down because there is growing frustration on the ground, Honorable Speaker, and some people are calling for retaliatory attacks. And if these leaders are not present to calm the temperatures down, it is going to be very difficult, Honorable Speaker. We want government to move with speed, especially the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, to secure the necessary cooperation from the Ethiopian authorities for us to be able to get our brethren who are missing in the lake. Honorable Speaker, lastly, The report, and which is something that the senator can also confirm, was that the National Police Reservist officers who are stationed there in Turkana had no ammunition. I mean, Honorable Speaker, you know, sometimes when we raise these issues, people say we are being unduly critical. But as a member of the National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations Committee, I want to assure the people of Turkana and the Senator of Turkana that we are going to get to the bottom of these issues and these lapses in security that has led to the loss of lives. Honorable Speaker, I have been asked to send a message to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs through the Prime Cabinet Secretary, Musalia Mudavadi, that the people of Turkana want to see the very same effort we have seen in other things, including the same sort of delegation that went to Addis from the ministry, being stationed in Addis again to be able to secure the cooperation of the Ethiopian authorities to ensure that we not only retrieve the bodies of our beloved who are still somewhere in the lake, but we ensure that such a thing never happens again. So on behalf of the people of Nairobi, on behalf of our party, on behalf of myself, my family, I want to tell the people of Turkana that we stand with them. This is a county that is very close to my heart, Honorable Speaker, for...
Senator Sifuna, your time is up. And I am very sure, sitting from the chair, that the Honorable CS for Foreign Affairs has definitely listened to the cries that has come from you on behalf of the people of Turkana, for them to give it the attention that the other ministries have given and to safeguard the interest of our people. Thank you very much, Senator Sifuna. Senator Okech, Eddie.
Chair, mine is an intervention. Yeah, I know, Chair, that this is a very important matter that we're discussing, and we had sought an adjournment on this matter of Turkana, Chair, but I am realizing very quickly that the House is literally empty. And the issue of Turkana is a very important one. Therefore, I wanted to rise under Standing Order number 41, knowing that perhaps this could have been necessitated by, you know, the fact that some of our colleagues are at the funeral of our brother, departed brother, Senator Cheptumo. I do share in the pain and the losses that have been in Turkana, and I hope that we can be able to find a more broad solution based on what my dear friends and colleagues senators have shared, including just what Senator Sifuna has said. But I wanted to ask whether, you know, due to the lack of quorum in this proceeding, you may consider, you know, evoking Standing Order number 1. Perhaps to check if you don't have quorum, then perhaps we can revisit such conversation when the full House is here, for the purposes of proper attention to such matter of serious magnitude of state concern. Thank you, Chair.
Senator Eddie, actually, when you look at the motion itself of adjournment, the motion pursuant to Standing Order 37 seeks to adjourn the House. So as it stands now, the House is adjourned for purposes of this particular motion. And that is why we have sought for every other member interested in contributing to it to do so within a limited timeline of 5 minutes. It's therefore not available for you yourself to raise Standing Order 41 in terms of quorum, because the House stands adjourned for purposes of the minutes of the motion. I will therefore rule you out, and we still have members who are interested in contributing, and you are one of them, but yours was an intervention. I will allow Senator, we have got Senator Peris Tobiko, we've got Senator Seki, who is not in the House, we've got Senator Joe, but I will give Senator Peris Tobiko her time to also speak to this motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the motion brought by Senator Lomenen, Mr. Speaker, and to sympathize and empathize with the people of Turkana, Mr. Speaker, because of the agony they have gone through, Mr. Speaker, in the hands of foreigners, or looks like it, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it pains a lot to lose Kenyans in ways that we should not lose lives. Of course, human beings are mortal and we will all pass on. But there are ways that we should, lives must be saved, Mr. Speaker, and protected, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have stood to, urge the government to take quick action to bring to book the culprits of this heinous act, Mr. Speaker, to also, Mr. Speaker, protect other Kenyans in Turkana, Mr. Speaker, and to take seriously the lives of all Kenyans, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when a Kenyan dies in Turkana, it should be taken as seriously as it is taken in other areas, Mr. Speaker. When there is loss of life, Mr. Speaker, life of every Kenyan is important, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is sad that sometimes, and I know this could be the feeling that Senator Lomenen has and a number of other people who come from these marginalized areas with no infrastructure, Mr. Speaker, with no network, Mr. Speaker, looking like another country altogether, Mr. Speaker, because regions, areas in this country have not been treated equitably, have not been supported equitably, Mr. Speaker. Kenyans have not been treated equitably, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we all want to have the feeling of being Kenyans and of being valuable Kenyans. Dignify life of every Kenyan, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is sad. It is very sad. Just like when I was speaking about the police officer we have lost at Haiti, Mr. Speaker. And he was defending and the image of Kenya in a faraway land, Mr. Speaker. But when the body lands in Nairobi, unless you take it to a chopper with a chopper to Kajiado, we have no roads to take that body. A Kenyan who was standing in for the 43 million of us. A Kenyan who was protecting and defending the name of this country and give us a good image internationally. But there is no road to go to his home, Mr. Speaker. Will there come a time when Kenyans will be equal? Will there come a time, Mr. Speaker, when we will all feel we belong, Mr. Speaker? Because at the moment, we feel like there are Kenyans who continue to be marginalized and marginalized of the marginalized, Mr. Speaker. It is sad. My brother Lomenen, I feel it for the Turkana people. Because I know we go through the same things. In fact, whereas Turkana is in the far north of the country, those of us who are adjacent to Nairobi feel the same. Because there are roads going to other regions of this country, but there are no roads going to Kajiado. There are no roads going to Turkana. There is no power. There is no network. There is no water. Can we all be treated as one country of equal people? One country of life that is equal and matters most for all Kenyans, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let the Kenyan government work very fast to relieve the pain of the Turkana people, to bring justice on what has just happened. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Senators, we may rise. Having now concluded the debate of the motion of adjournment under Standing Order 37, the Senate stands adjourned until tomorrow, Thursday, 27th of February, 2025 at 2:30 p.m.